Now, live from Whitney Media, 1460 WVOX, the Greenburgh Report, with Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner. You can join in the conversation at 914-636-0110. Now on 1460 WVOX, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner. I'm the Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
And I'm Pauline Mosley.
Welcome. And I was sort of thinking on my way over if you're enjoying the 70-degree weather today,
yes,
and enjoyed no snow this past winter, this show is not for you because we're in the midst of global warming and the climate is changing, and there's some people in Dobbs Ferry and around the county and around the nation who want to do something about that. So today we're really fortunate to have as guests Holly Malakian and Jennifer Murphy and they represent a group in Dobbs Ferry that is promoting a more sustainable, planet. DeWaste Dobbs was started, and I wanted to know if Dobbs Ferry has a weight problem, and I'm not talking about that people need to go on diets. I'm talking about why is there a weight issue.
Hi, Paul. This is Jen Murphy. We're volunteers with Sustainable Dobbs. And yes, not to fat shame ourselves, but Dobbs Ferry has a little bit of a weight problem. And I would guess we're not the only ones. We are here as as volunteers just within Dobbs Ferry. So do you want to take a guess in terms of how much Dobbs Ferry weighed last year?
Well,
don't cheat. Don't look at the notes.
Oh, okay.
I'll just tell the listeners.
I'll say it's a lot.
This village of 11,000 people generated 10 million pounds of waste in 2021. Wow. These are the figures we have, the latest figures from the county.
And I contributed to it every time I eat pizza.
Dobbs Ferry. Okay. Lots of things go into that waste stream, right? Mm-hmm. Real trash, things that belong in the garbage, but things that don't. Things like recyclables or food scraps that are quite heavy, bulk items. So, right now the system in place is for all of Westchester waste to go to a facility up in Peekskill, which is called the Wheelabrator. It's an incinerator, and it's where we send our trash to be burned on a county level. This facility is 38 years old. It's one of the oldest in the nation. And while it does have sort of this waste to energy output, it does power about 35,000 homes on the grid. There is also a toxic component to the byproduct, which is an ash after all these things are burnt. So, we're not here to really talk about that, but what we wanted to do was start a campaign of actionable things that people in Dobbs Ferry could really do to sort of lessen our dependence on the Wheelabrator. So we launched a campaign. We are, just to, by way of intros, we're part of a group called Sustainable Dobbs, and we, along with a third co-chair, Janet Rosef, had the Zero Waste Group. So the Zero Waste Group has come up with a campaign called DeWaste Dobbs. And it's called this, the DeWaste Dobbs, the 0.6 pound challenge. And that's for a very specific reason. In 2020, New York State, the Department of Environmental Conservation issued a waste reduction goal to get down to 0.6 pounds of waste per person per day by 2030. So right now, if we use the numbers we have, Dobbs Ferry was at about 2.5 pounds of waste per person per day. So we have a lot of work to do, but like we said, we're probably not alone in this. So
can I just ask you a question?
Yes.
If I want to participate in your effort,
yes,
is the best way of participating by going on a diet and not eating, or is there other things that I could do to make sure that the planet is more sustainable?
Yeah, for sure. We have broken our campaign down into sort of quarterly initiatives that people can take, and let me just jump to that in my little script here. We have a focus in the winter. We're focusing on food scraps. We're educating people on the benefits of diverting food scraps from the waste stream. They're the heaviest, they're the most water dense. And if you compost them, there's a very valuable byproduct that comes out of this, right? Compost. So for the winter, we're focusing on that. In the spring, we're going to focus on spring cleaning and bulk items in your home that take up, are very heavy. In the summer, we're going to focus on changing your buying habits, using less single-use plastics. And in the fall, yard waste and how to really make the most of yard waste.
Great. So we'll be right back, and we're going to be talking about ways on Earth Day. Today's Earth Day. Tomorrow, I'm sorry. You could make the world more sustainable for future generations. I'm Paul Feiner.
I'm Pauline Mosley. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
WVOX. Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner, Town Supervisor, and we're talking about DeWaste Dobbs campaign, an effort to encourage people to work hard for a more sustainable planet. And Pauline, you had a question?
Yes, thanks, Paul. I'm so happy that you're with us in our radio studio this morning, Holly. Can you share with our listening audience, how did you get into waste and why you're so passionate about waste? Share that with us, please.
Well, I keep hearing dire stories about climate change, and the news doesn't get better from any particular report. There was another report out yesterday that said it's even worse than we thought, the melting of the ice shield. But, I'm not in a position to do anything about the really big picture things, but I feel committed to working on a local level. And I know that a lot of people like me are just saying, what can you really do? What can one person really do?
Exactly.
And a lot of people don't believe they can make a difference on their own. A lot of people don't really trust that their recycling gets recycled. So we decided to launch this campaign. I've been working on the Zero Waste Committee for a while. We've been doing various things, but this year, when we started to realize that our recycling numbers were not what they could be, we decided to launch DeWaste Dobbs and really focus on reducing waste. So we're promoting recycling, we're promoting composting, we're trying to get people to really just rethink what they do. It's getting back to the old basics of rethink, reuse, recycle.
But one of the issues is so hard to get people to change their habits. And, you have activists who will religiously recycle or compost their food waste, but the average person probably doesn't. So how do you get people to change their habits?
Well, the cornerstone of our campaign is the 0.6 pounds pledge. We're asking residents to take a pledge. It's just a simple pledge to be more mindful about their waste, about the way they think about waste, and not to have to be perfect, but to try to recycle properly, consider composting, rethink the disposal of the large bulk household items, adjust their buying habits, and make the most of the yard waste, because yard waste has a value.
And one of the ways we're also trying to get people to sort of change their behavior is attaching a financial component to this as well. On a village level, I believe this is a contracted rate with the county, but we pay $33 a ton for tipping fees for trash. So we pay to dispose of trash, whereas recycling is free. There's $0 in tipping fees. It's brought to the MRF facility, which is a great facility in Yonkers. And they handle the county's recycling. So if Dobbs Ferry, for example, we're just trying to focus on what we might have influence over, we could stand to save, if we could increase our recycling rate to closer to a 70-75%, which is not unattainable, we could be saving almost $100,000 a year in tipping fees.
Let me ask another question. Do you have, unincorporated Greenburgh has 2 days a week pickup. What about Dobbs Ferry?
We have 2 waste pickup days. We have 1 recycling pickup day. I'm sorry, 1 paper recycling pickup day and 1 glass, metal, plastic pickup day.
Okay, this is like a difficult question, but now I'm starting to feel guilty that I'm not doing enough. So so when I get in the car, I'm gonna not be bragging about myself. But the thing is, if we really want to do something, would you recommend, say, that municipalities go, say, to 1 day a week, and then say, we want everybody to do food scrap recycling, and maybe even go pay as you, maybe even charge pay as you go. Now, I know that if I would have said that, when I was circulating petitions asking people to put my name on the ballot,
Right.
I probably would have had eggs thrown at me. But would you think that the real answer would be to sort of go cold turkey and say to residents, this is what has to be done if we're going to save the planet, and local officials are going to basically, go aggressive? Or do you feel there should be a transition? I don't know what the answer is. So,
Well, one little thing I've discovered, it's not a little thing, but I was a latecomer to this whole food scrap, composting in my kitchen and all. I didn't see what the need of it was really myself. But as you get into doing this, you realize that there's nothing smelly or wet or icky in your garbage anymore. So you almost never have to put, I guess if you're a large family maybe, but an individual person or a couple, you get your amount of actual trash that you're going to put out on the curb is practically nothing. And you don't need to put it out very often because it's all just dry stuff sitting in your, couple of paper towels or whatever, a little packaging that can't be recycled. But mostly you are really, really reducing your waste as soon as you start composting. So I would say, in addition to, continuing to pick up curbside recycling, if we could get to a point where we have curbside compost pickup for the county, that would be amazing.
but would you recommend, say, 1 day a week garbage pickup, and then replace that 1 day with curbside, food?
Absolutely.
In an idealistic world, that sounds like a solution to us. We have a really great relationship with our village leadership and the board and our DPW staff. And we've engaged in a lot of brainstorms lately on how to do it. That is something that got served up in conversation as maybe a longer term plan. In the short term, we also want to plug a great group out of Hastings. This is called Hudson Compost. It's a group of Hastings high school students who started this compost pickup service.
Well, now they're going gangbusters.
It's for about $5 or $6 a week. They take your curbside food scraps. They take your food scraps from the curbside and they transport it to your town drop-off site. So, for example, you asked about the days pickup. We have 2 garbage days, 2 recycling days, and then I engage with Hudson Compost. I believe Holly does too. And so I have 1 day a week food scraps.
But people in Dobbs Ferry can also bring their own food scraps too. We have a nice compost site in Dobbs Ferry. Not every town has that. But
But when you really look at it, when you're looking at, say, the average person, there's still, I would say, the majority of people are not dropping it off at the at the site. I'm sort of thinking. I'm just thinking out loud. And again, it's interesting because one of the reasons I like this program is because when I speak to people, then all of a sudden I get different ideas or feel guilty or inspired, and I'm sort of wondering, would it make sense, say, for like a town like Greenburgh, to say we're going to do food scrap recycling, we're going to do curbside food recycling. We believe that if everybody would participate in this, that there's no need for two days a week pickup. So what we're going to do is we're going to have, say, a 2-year, I'm just throwing out a 2-year transition. At the end of the 2, we're going to ask people to test it out. And at the end of 2 years, the service is going to go down to once a week. And this way, you're having an orderly transition.
People can make an adjustment.
And people can make an adjustment. I almost think that I'm going to...
I think the other thing to think through is once you collect all those food scraps, where do they go? Right? So they need to be brought to a commercial compost facility. There do exist some in kind of northern parts of the county and
Ulster
out of county. But yeah, that in a long-term, planning perspective would be really something we'd love to see.
Pauline, as a resident of unincorporated Greenburgh, why would you think of that, suggestion? I mean, do you think that's too radical, or would you basically would you say, okay, I'm willing to have a little pain, but at the this way we're moving in the right direction?
Absolutely. I think that I'm so happy that Holly and Jen are here to raise awareness of this waste and what we need to do. So I think if there was some cursory training sessions or information sessions so people understood and were motivated to do this and really understood what they were doing and how this was making an impact, I think more residents would absolutely take the time to sort their trash, and if there was some small little capsule of a hands-on demonstration on what you're supposed to do, some people may not really know what to do. They just throw everything in. They may not know that they should separate the food scraps. And
it really is so easy. It's almost like everybody was resisting
it's just changing habits.
The plastic bag
Exactly.
at the supermarkets. And, I thought when they abolished that it would be the end of the world. But it really wasn't. You get used to it after a while. And the same thing with food scrap, recycling. In terms of your...
Can I just say one thing, Paul? The county has been making a lot of strides towards food scrap recycling. In maybe the last 3 years, there's been a lot of municipal food scrap drop-offs started in various towns. We're most familiar with sort of the river towns, but Ardsley, Hastings, Dobbs, Ferry, they all have their own now. There's a new, compost education facility that the county opened, and then there's also a new
that's great.
Sort of transfer station for compost in Mamaroneck. So I know this is something that the county is putting time and resources behind.
We have to take a break, and right after the break, we're going to talk more about the successes of your efforts, and we don't want to be only negative. We want to be positive, and your organization has done some amazing things. So the second half hour, we're going to be positive. I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
WVOX. Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Hi, I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor.
And I'm Pauline Mosley. Welcome back.
And I'm so inspired by this interview. And my guests are Holly Milliken and Jennifer Murphy, and they're involved in a group called the DeWaste Dobbs campaign. And I'm so inspired, but not even inspired. I almost feel guilty because as a result of this interview, my confidence level about myself has gone down a lot, and I feel I'm not doing enough.
No.
So I before I start bragging about what a great job I'm going to do, I have a lot of work to do. But could you maybe tell us a little bit about the successes of your group?
Yeah, and just to that point, Paul, this is really, no one, like I said in the beginning, we are not looking to fat shame. We're not looking to make anyone feel bad about anything. What we're trying to do is illustrate all of the opportunity that we do have moving forward. If you cut a watermelon, you realize that waste is heavy. You cut a pineapple or even a banana peel, and that's just one thing, food scraps, But right now everyone's doing their spring cleanup on their lawns. Those big bags of yard waste, they can be used for something. A lot of people are doing it right. A lot of people are putting it in the brown bags and it goes to a organics yard and it's handled properly. But if it goes in a black plastic bag, that gets put in the garbage, right? So this is just really supposed to bring waste into your everyday conversation, because you do have so many times during your day that you have to dispose of something.
Exactly.
You have to make a choice, right? So but yes, we are really proud of a lot of the work Sustainable Dobbs has done, and we have to say it's really in large part partnership with our village leadership. They're so supportive of the work. Sustainable Dobbs is a kind of ad hoc, village committee. So we work in partnership with the village. Dobbs Ferry is a bronze level climate smart community, which is a state designation. We have to do certain actions, and then you get points to show if you've achieved this level status. So that's a really big sort of milestone. We are happy to maintain the bronze level, which we've had for a few years now. We do also a lot of
Could
work.
you get up to a gold?
We have not gone up to gold, but we
I don't think anybody in the
I don't think
state
anybody's
has.
at gold yet. I don't know.
It's they set the bar very high.
They do. We also do a lot of work in energy and transportation. Sustainable Dobbs has multiple kind of focus areas: energy, transportation, waste, gardens, and local food. And we have a new component about resiliency. And when these sort of environmental disasters take place, how do we as a village handle that?
Well, the one thing that I'm not guilty of or feel bad about is I think Greenburgh has done more for pedestrian safety than like any community anywhere. We built miles and miles of new sidewalks. Just this year, we're building lots of new sidewalks, and pedestrian safety, I think, is really important. And
So important.
if you can encourage people to bike or walk to their locations rather than take their car, that is really, that is
So
really
important.
great. So that's the only thing I'm really very proud of
That's
so
great.
far. But you've had other successes.
Yeah, in the past 4 years, there's been about $550,000 in grant money that we've helped to secure. And we mentioned the food scrap drop off, which that came into play in May of 2018, and even took a few years to get some adoption from the village. But we have, from 2020 going to 2021, we've doubled our tonnage. So we went from about 50 tons to about 100 tons. So that's really ramping up. And we've had, like I said, since we kicked off DeWaste Dobbs, we've had multiple collaborative brainstorms with our village administrator and our DPW staff and the board of trustees. So we feel like we've got a lot of momentum. It's Earth Month. This is Earth Week. Earth Day is tomorrow. We're feeling like we're really hitting our stride with this campaign. We've got a few hundred people who have taken the pledge. Like we said, this pledge, it's really just, a form on our website. Anyone can take it, sustainabledobbs.com. But it's just, again, it's supposed to just make you aware of your waste and what you're doing with it. So,
Could you read the pledge?
Ooh. You want us to
You
read
wanna
the whole
read
thing?
it? You read
Okay.
it.
Well, it's basically broken up into 5 areas. We're asking people to pledge to recycle properly, to be more mindful about food waste, to be thoughtful when disposing of unwanted household goods, to rethink their buying habits. Instead of purchasing single-use plastics, think about buying things in other, more recyclable and reusable containers. And to be more conscious of yard waste, which we mentioned before. Yard waste, actually, if you put it out properly, goes to a recycling facility in Yonkers that makes it into mulch. And so it's a wonderful resource, actually. Or you can mulch many landscapers or yard services now will chop up your leaves and leave them in place on your lawn so they become food for your own lawn. So these are all pretty easy things. Again, it's not, we're not looking for perfection. We're just asking people to be more mindful about these things. So to promote the pledge, we're using various vehicles, and also just to promote these components of waste reduction. We're using digital newsletters like the Mayor's newsletter and Sustainable Dobbs newsletter, social media. We have a campaign going on Facebook and Instagram called the Trash Talk series. So we have about 20 tips, which we've actually worked with the county to fine-tune them. Little individual tips that we're going to be running. We've already started. We've had 3 of them roll out already. But these are going to run out throughout the year. Just, again, telling people to tips on how to recycle right, how to compost, what to do with their leaves, etc. And we're asking people to take the pledge through various mechanisms. One is right now we have this a drawing that we've started. And anybody who takes the pledge between now and the end of Earth Month, April 30th, which is coming up, is entered into a drawing to receive gift cards to local green businesses. We've been very careful to select really green businesses in our community, in the River Towns area, let's say. And so we're also helping to promote those businesses by doing this. And they've donated services or actual goods. And we're going to have the drawing at the end of an event coming up called the Dobbs Dirt Fest. Can I talk
Very
about the
nice.
Dobbs Dirt Fest?
Yeah, can you tell us about that?
Okay, so we're hosting various events. You came to our Trash Monster Build event, which was
That
the
was
kickoff
amazing.
at the library. That was in February. We were so glad to have you there. So the next one, and we hope you'll come to this too.
And I thought that it was really amazing because, when we went, when I went there, like I thought there'd be like 5 people there, and it was
Right.
it was at the Dobbs Ferry Library. It was such a great turnout, and you had people of all different ages and political
Amazing.
persuasions. It's not just like an activist, democratic, group. It's like everyone in the village. People from
Beautiful.
all factions were really, really participating, and I think people really found the program really amazing. So I'm looking forward to attending the event on the 29th, and I'll put it on the town website.
Great.
Oh, great.
Writing myself a note.
So this is our second annual Dobbs Dirt Fest. We did it last year, didn't expect much, at the beautiful Dobbs Ferry waterfront. We were giving out compost. We were doing some fun like sunflower seed planting with kids and giving out packets of radish seeds at the garden club. We had all these community organizations join us. What was it, like 300
almost
people
300
showed up
people.
last year? It was
It was
crazy.
great.
So we
That's
said we have to do
fantastic.
this again. So as Paul mentioned, we're doing it on April 29th at the Dobbs Ferry waterfront from 3 to 5 p.m. Bring your families. Even if you don't have a family, it's going to be a lot of fun. One feature we did last year, we're doing again, is bring your own bucket. BYOB, we call it. So if you bring your own bucket, you get 5 gallons of free top grade compost from our partner. We mentioned before, Hudson Compost. They bring a big truck, and you get to take home some good compost.
That is great. One of the questions I have is, the world's a very big place, and some people may say, if everybody in Dobbs Ferry or Greenburgh would participate in this, it's going to make just a dent in terms of the planet. What do you say to people who are detractors saying, why should I, change my habits when the rest of the world isn't doing enough, and the world, everybody's going to be on Mars in 200 years.
What'd you say to that?
I mean, yeah, it's hard to move the needle without, big masses of people doing big things. And I know you say, right, like I fly commercial, I go on trips on an airplane. What does that do for my carbon footprint? But we're sort of the mentality that like, if you don't start now and if you don't start small, little change on a village level. Maybe us being on this radio show will inspire another village community. And in 2 years, all of Westchester County is doing this, or all of New York State is doing
We'll
this.
change the law. And it was interesting, after the break, I want to mention, I was reading the Wall Street Journal last weekend. The founding fathers 200 years ago talked about climate change. I didn't even realize that. They said the United States had much more snow, and some of the founding fathers were concerned then that the New England was getting much more mild. So there's obviously been major changes. Climate change did not just start now. It's been going on for many centuries. I'm Paul Feiner. We have to take a break, and then we'll be right back. And we're going to talk about the excellent work of the DeWaste Stops campaign.
Now back to the Greenburgh Report on 1460 WVOX. Once again, here's Greenburgh Town Supervisor Paul Feiner.
Good morning, Westchester. I'm Paul Feiner, and my guest today is Holly Malakian and Jennifer Murphy of a group, DeWaste Dobbs campaign. And this is a really fascinating program, and it's timely because tomorrow is Earth Day. Pauline, you have a question?
Yes, thanks, Paul. So, Holly, is your village government on board with this campaign, and can you just share that with our audience?
Yeah, I mean, it really wouldn't work if that wasn't the case. And you know, we managed to get all of our board of trustees and our mayor to take the pledge. And more than that, they're really behind it now. They're sharing our messages on their social media. They're supporting all of the things that we're doing. They seem to be equally fired up now. And also our DPW is, even though most DPWs are overworked and so is ours, they've been very happy to come on board and are doing their part to move the ball forward. I'll let you talk, Jen, about this new enforcement campaign.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So this couldn't work. We're providing hopefully the education and the outreach and the sort of community relations around this, but it really does fall on the DPW team to deal with what people leave at their curb. So they've developed something. It's sort of a new and improved version of something they've used in the past, but it's called the Oops sticker. So this is essentially a sticker. If your waste is not put out correctly on your curb, they'll leave you this sticker instead, and they'll mark off what was sort of incorrectly done. Was it put out on the wrong day? Was it mixed? And it won't be picked up. It'll be left there for you to sort of deal with it until the next pickup. But hopefully, we're with our outreach before this launches, we're going to send out a sample of the sticker with the tax bills that go out June 1st. So we're really trying to meet as many residents as we can. So not only the homeowners, but we also have a plan for outreach with apartment dwellers as well. Do you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so the apartment buildings are often a little disorganized about their recycling. I'm sure people out there who live in apartment buildings, some of them do a good job, but in our town, more than often, they are not focused on it and not giving clear instructions to the renters. So we are rolling out a program really one at a time, working with buildings where we have a champion within that building. And we've already started producing signs and also like a sample letter for landlords to share with their tenants and to let people know up front, here's what you need to do to recycle correctly, and then make sure when they get down to their recycling area in their building, it's clearly marked with signage and whatnot. We're also trying to work now, just beginning to work with shops and restaurants in the downtown area. That's also a big area of need. We often don't have enough room for them to put their recycling, so we're trying to work through that.
So the restaurants really, how many or do any use food scrap, recycling?
Well, I should mention Dobbs Ferry is like restaurant row. Of the river towns and surrounding areas, we have the best restaurants. We really have an amazing plethora of excellent restaurants, but some of them do try to compost, but it's very, very hard for restaurants.
One of our sort of long-term goals is maybe doing a pilot for compost pickup with the restaurants, maybe starting with a handful of them and seeing how that goes. And
we're also talking to them about this Too Good To Go campaign, which is one of the, it's not a campaign, it's a program that you can take part in where you, at the end of the day, the food that you didn't sell, people can come and find out on an app where the food is, where the restaurants that are participating, and come and get it for much less.
It's sort of a mystery box. You log onto an app, and it's very discounted, but it also reduced their waste. So
for the restaurants, it would make so much sense because it's so easy because they basically just have food, excess food, and they have to pay a commercial truck to pick up their garbage. So it could actually save them money.
And they make a little money from the food that they have left over. So it's a win-win for many people.
That would be great. So now you gave me another. I'm just taking notes. Actually, we should be.
called Too Good to
This is a
Go.
good internship project where we could get the interns to reach out to restaurants.
That's
We
a
have a
great
whole
idea.
bunch of interns coming in this fall, spring, and summer. So I think I'll ask them to work on food scrap in restaurants.
So I would like to just say, too, that the systems are in place. We are very lucky in Westchester County. So in addition to Dobbs Ferry having our own support system, Westchester County has an amazing, what we call the MRF, the the Materials Recovery Facility in Yonkers. And many people may not know this, but do you know, Paul, how much of what we send to the MRF actually gets recycled?
I'm not sure.
Well, it's 94%.
Wow.
So for those out there who don't really trust that what they put out on their curbside gets recycled, 94% of everything, cardboard, paper, plastic,
That's incredible.
metal, and glass, gets sold. Our county MRF facility has fostered relationships with recyclables brokers, and they buy these things. Paper mills are happy to buy the cardboard and paper because it keeps them from having to cut down trees. They can just recycle that paper. So it's a wonderful cycle of recycling, and the county actually makes $7 million a year from the sales of these materials, which get made into other things. So it's a system you can have confidence in.
You were mentioning before when you saw the Poland Spring water bottles. Should they be cans instead? Would it be better? I'm just curious.
Yes, and also reusable water bottles. Like our water in our county is pretty good. It's a good trust. You can trust your water that comes out of your tap, and you can refill your own water bottle. That's really the best thing. But so use a metal bottle. It's actually better not to drink out of plastic also for your health. So there's a lot of reasons that it's better to use a reusable water bottle.
Terrific. If somebody wants more information about your organization, DeWaste Dobbs campaign, because you really would like it spread all over, how do they get in touch with you?
So Sustainable Dobbs is the group. So our website is www.sustainabledobbs.com. You can sign up for our newsletter right there. You can find us on Facebook or Instagram, also under Sustainable Dobbs. You can search by the hashtag DeWasteDobbs. We're trying to cover all of our digital bases. And if you want to come in person, the Dirt Fest is on the 29th from 3 to 5 at Dobbs Ferry Waterfront Park.
And basically, it's like the Dobbs Ferry Waterfront Park is really spectacular. It's right near the train station. They have a restaurant that's not that expensive right on the waterfront. The views of the Hudson are magnificent. If you have a child, they could enjoy the playground. Could people go swimming in the Hudson from Dobbs Ferry?
No, they really shouldn't. But there's a launch, a boat launch, so you can kayak and canoe from there.
So that's great. So it's really one of the nicest.
It's dog friendly. There's a little dog.
And there's a little
water
beach.
fountain.
Yeah.
There's a little beachfront. There's a playground, bathrooms. It's wonderful.
Right. So
There's also a fitness component
That's right.
at the end of the park. There's a like a walking and workout area.
Right. So it's really one of the nicest waterfront parks anywhere, in the country.
Thank you.
So I would recommend. It's April 29th from 3 to 5 at the Dobbs Ferry waterfront, park, and it's called the Dirt Fest. And again, you could bring your own bucket for 5 gallons of free compost from Hudson Compost. You said chickens and worms are back.
Greenburgh Nature Center is bringing. These are sort of natural composters, so they're bringing them for a little hands-on demo.
And if you're hungry, there's free organic fruit
There's some
fruits.
snacks provided by Mom's Organic Market, who have been a
And
real supporter
I
of
should
our
mention
work.
the high school students and the students from both of the high schools in Dobbs Ferry are
Wonderful.
going to be running games, recycling roulette, pitch appeal, and
Very nice.
what's the third
Speed
game?
sort.
Speed sort. Yeah,
Sort
so
your knowledge on recycling.
it'll be fun games for all ages.
So this is really like the event of the year in Dobbs.
It's our
well, it's
one of
sustainable
the best.
Dobbs event of the
It's a
year.
way to kind of put the exclamation point on Earth Month, let's say.
This is really fantastic. It's really an event that nobody would want to miss.
And it's free, right?
It's great.
It's free. So
So it's April 29th from 3 to 5. And again, there's games, there's electric lawn care showcase is great because a lot of people are concerned about the gas-powered leaf blowers. And this way, people would be able to see that they can make less noise using electric.
And less emissions.
I should
too.
mention
We have-
also one of the best ways to compost is to do backyard composting if you have property and you have the ability to do that, because then it doesn't have to get carted anywhere. So there's going to be a couple of organizations, including Greenburgh Nature Center, but also a local group called Roots and Wings that's going to do a demo of backyard composting, which is a really interesting little kind of science experiment.
and what time is the demo taking place?
Oh, it'll be throughout the 3 to 5.
Oh,
and so anytime you come, you
wonderful.
can see how that happens.
And you could enter a raffle, win gift cards from area shops and restaurants by taking the pledge that we read before anytime before the end of Dirt Fest. So this is really like fantastic. And
Fantastic
again, it's
event.
April
Come on out.
29th from 3 to 5 at the Waterfront Park near the Dobbs Ferry Playground. And I'll see everybody next weekend. So I'm Paul Feiner, Greenburgh Town Supervisor. Thank you.
Awesome weekend.
And thank you.
Thanks for having us. Happy Earth Day.
Good. Now, when I get back to the office, I'm going to have to work on all the ideas you gave me today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.